get it.
Okay. Okay. What are receipts? We'll see if we're missing every other page of what it is. But anyway, get that. What are receipts? Governmental receipts, also known as receipts, revenues, or miscellaneous receipts, result from the government's exercise of its sovereign power. They include taxes, customs duties, fines, penalties, license fees, excise taxes, and gifts and donations, because we didn't know where else to put gifts and donations. They're also deposited in receipt accounts. For example, the Land and Water Conservation Fund and the Highway Trust Fund. They are different from offsetting receipts and offsetting collections. Offsetting receipts and offsetting collections normally result from business-like transactions with the public, or intra-governmental transactions from one government agency to another. Sometimes OMB misclassifies certain governmental receipts as offsetting receipts because of requirements in law. That is, the law will actually tell us that certain, the law will tell us that those things that by nature would be a receipt, an offsetting receipt, will be accounted for as an offsetting collection, and therefore will be a reduction to the spending side of the budget. Yes, ma'am?
That's not the same as a recovery, correct?
Correct. Okay. We need to, because also for the telephone, we need to hear you, the question. Thank you, I understand.
My question was, that's not the same thing as a recovery.
That is correct. It is not. And there the question really is, what do you mean by recovery? The recovery of an obligation, an amount that has been obligated, and we'll get into obligations so that people understand what it means later.
No.
But you actually money that comes back in.
Right, from expenditure.
Okay. We would define that as a refund as opposed to recovery for that purpose. Okay, thank you. I gotta remember to look at the screen to see if somebody's got a question from the telephone. Okay. Offsetting receipts are also deposited in receipt accounts, are offsets to budget authority and outlays, not compared to total outlays. Okay? They serve to reduce or offset budget authority and outlays and are not part of the comparison between outlays and receipts. They are usually deducted at the agency or sub-function level, may be earmarked for appropriations if credited to special or trust fund receipt accounts. I usually like to stop here and ask any questions. Yes. Could you go to the microphone, please? So,
Between the collections and the receipts, when you say both of them, when you say offsetting, does that mean that it would offset the budget authority I'm trying to make a distinction in my mind, it's not clear.
between,
The receipt and the collection, and both of them can be called offsetting. To me, if they offset, does that mean they're offsetting some revenue or some spending? I'm sorry, they're offsetting a spending.
okay,
See, I'm
Okay.
entangled.
that's okay. All right. We have the receipts,
Yes,
offset receipts that are going into receipt accounts.
okay.
We have offsetting collections, not to be confused with the collections that were the umbrella term for everything coming in, but offsetting collections, which are credited to expenditure accounts,
Okay.
okay? So, and in both cases, they offset budget authority and outlays. But the offsetting collections that are credited to expenditure accounts offset within the account. The offsetting receipts that offset budget authority and outlays are offset at the agency level, as opposed to inside the account. They both serve to offset the account, the spending of the offsetting is all total spending. But one is done at the account level and one is done at the agency level. That make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I was just going to ask you for an example, just to give an example of what those accounts were.
Okay, I think we will. Next time you go to the microphone, I appreciate it. Okay, the question was whether or not they, whether or not there were examples. I want to check to make sure. There we go. Some examples. Okay. Offsetting receipts. I've got offsetting collections here, so I want to go to offsetting receipts. Offsetting receipts would be, as it said, those amounts that are, those receipts that go to special fund or trust fund receipt accounts. Okay? You don't see them in the trust fund, for example, let's use civil service retirement, disability fund. You don't see, because that's a trust fund, you don't see the offset of spending in the account. But if you look at the total for OPM, you will see a reduction for those receipts that go into the trust fund. Okay? For collections, offsetting collections, they are credited directly to expenditure accounts from which they are spent when authorized by law. Example, or a revolving fund, for example, Tennessee Valley Authority operates with this authority. They charge a rate for the power that they generate. They use those revenues, or offsetting collections, to build transmission lines, maintain dams, to generate that electricity that they charge for. That is an example of the market-based activity that we spoke about earlier when we talked about the kinds of collections that come in, offsetting collections that come in. Okay? Collections may be are deducted from gross budget authority and outlays of that expenditure account.
I have a question.
Sure.
We want to simplify what understanding of these two items. So offsetting receipts is just like revenue. We're putting the revenue as a receipt account, which is a revenue account in some ways.
Because of how your system is designed. Okay.
Exactly. So just my thinking is that, so in essence, it's just like a revenue. So it's deposited to the revenue account, whereas offsetting collection is like you have, say for example, you spent for office supplies, you spent $100,000 for office supplies. For some reason, there is a mistake. You pay them, I shouldn't say mistake, but
Okay.
you
Let me use another example.
sure.
Everybody has authority under the Freedom of Information Act to provide information to people. That is, they can ask for something and ask for copies of something.
Right.
They have to pay for that